Hi everyone, I just thought I would do a post on the story of the day, which is actually about Djokovic not being allowed into Australia because he is an anti-vaxxer. Is that the reason? Not too sure myself. So I thought one of the things that might be helpful is to just have a look at some of the information that's available, and I'd be really interested to know what you think about Djokovic being sent back to wherever he needs to go. Now, before I start though, last post I made on YouTube, I did say that that I don't have any views, and I was making a big deal of it. And I have got one extra view, and I just want to acknowledge that one person today. His name's Richard. Is a fantastic, fantastic young man, a friend of my son's, and I want to thank you, Richard, for becoming my latest subscriber on YouTube. You'll probably never watch any of the shows, but I will remind you that I did thank you because you're here at the moment for tea and don't know that I'm doing this. But I just wanted to have a conversation about how we view what's been happening around Djokovic. Now, he is an anti-vaxxer. He's well known for that. Did he use these exemptions as this way of getting into Australia as a person who's unvaccinated? Do we normally allow people that are unvaccinated into Australia? I believe we do, but they have to be quarantined for a certain period of time and whatever. And I believe he had an exemption, and this is where it starts to become really complicated, and I'm not too certain whether I understand what happened, because he did get an exemption initially from the Department of Immigration based on some paperwork that had been sent to them. It is clear that perhaps, or it's not so clear, but when he arrived, he actually presented that paperwork, and then the department deemed it inadequate for his entry into Australia, because apparently it was from one doctor. Now, we don't know whether that doctor is a credible doctor or not, or someone that Djokovic just dreamed up and was able to pay in order to get the exemption that he required. So, don't know. However, there are some news articles around that do kind of shine some degree of light on all of this, and I'd just like to bring up one of those. And it is in the Sydney Morning Herald, believe it or not, and it's an article that talks a little bit more about this stuff that we've been talking about, and I will bring it up here for us to have a look at. Australian Border Force is investigating at least one unvaccinated tennis player and one official who have already been allowed. So this is a story which is well, I might go to the other story first. I don't know how this one will appear. So we'll start with this one, and I'll just have to tidy it up a wee bit, so bear with me. So this particular story is more about Djokovic. Then there's this other story which is about about the other people that they suspect are perhaps in the same boat as Djokovic. So here we have, so what's this from the Advertiser? So Novak Djokovic, the medical exemption, and now he denied visa. It's become a big issue around the world, because what it's saying is that this could be political. Could be about the Australian government taking a stand against anti-vaxxers for whatever reason. My belief is that they're wrong, but they are entitled to say whatever it is that they need to say, and that's fair enough. And that this particular instance is causing a great deal of embarrassment to our government. Now, because he's high profile. Now, my argument would be that because this man is so high profile, it becomes an issue. But I would also suspect that there are other people who have not been allowed into Australia because their paperwork that they've presented also has not been available. Now, the thing about Djokovic is that he's got heaps and heaps of money, so he can afford to have the best lawyers that he can to take it to the Federal Circuit Court in order to have this challenge, where obviously most people wouldn't be able to have those resources. Also, he's probably able to employ the best lawyers that he can in order to do that. So it's kind of this exceptional circumstance, plus the fact that we have on the 17th of this month, we have the Australian Open. He's the world number one. If he wins this title, he will break the record. I think it's 21 Grand Slams. So he would break the record. So it's really important for him to do it. It's also important for him to be involved in the competition because of the amount of money that he would earn from doing so. So it's costing him a lot by not being involved, and it's also costing the government a lot in terms of embarrassment that has been generated as a result of this particular news item. Now, the other thing I think is that at the end of the day, he probably could have got vaccinated and all of this would have been avoided. It is. And to me, it's just that simple. So is he also doing this to create a sensation so that he becomes the story? So he becomes dominant, he gets the headlines, and if he wins the case at the Federal Circuit Court, then it's such a big deal. But the other issue, I think, is that how will people receive him when on the court when he's playing tennis? I would imagine there would be a certain group of people that are from Serbia that support him, whatever, and I imagine there'll be a whole host of other people, Australians, who may object to the special treatment that he has received. So in the article, it does talk about so we'll just go through it. Former player Renee Stubbs didn't miss in her analysis of the situation. This is now a shit show. She says it's officially a massive shit show, and it is. And, I just wonder who's benefiting from this crap. Everyone is loving this drama right now. Oh, here I am, reporting on it, discussing it. So I guess I'm party to all of that. Novak has not left the country, so we're in this a bit longer until he leaves or goes to a hotel or whatever. Now he's gone to a hotel, and he's claiming that he's kind of been kept a prisoner. Well, if you break the law in this country, I guess you do become a prisoner because you are locked away from society. So and I think, well, you should have had the resources to have known whether or not you were going to really get this exemption before you came to Australia. Now, I guess he will argue that he did get the exemption, but did he rely on just that exemption? What about his visa, the passport, the paperwork he needed for his visa, and other things he needed, which he seemed to have forgotten about? So they're saying here, wondering if he had the correct paperwork on the plane. When he arrived, they said he didn't have the correct paperwork. I think this is political too, says Renee Stubbs. And it could be possible that there was just an oversight. However, this man has been to Australia before. It isn't like this is the first time he's come here. So he obviously would know whatever paperwork was required to enter Australia would have been taken care of beforehand. However, he's decided to flagrantly probably disregard a lot of that and enter Australia anyway and cause a bit of a stir. So there must be some mileage in this for him, even if the mileage might be that as an anti-vaxxer, he's getting a lot more credibility, a lot more sympathy from the anti-vax community in relation to making this particular stand. I would be road bull if I was him. It says here, I also would be road bull if I was him. Also, the other lesson is get vaccinated. I think that needs to be highlighted there. That this would not have occurred had you simply gone and got yourself vaccinated. So they're going to say, and this is true, that unless we're really clear about what the rules are, there will be other people, anti-vaxxers or not, but there will be other people who will vagrantly find ways to break the rules. Whether they're reluctant on the mandate or not, I think people have gone for that, said whoever. So this person who told Nine Network. This is a kind of first situation where we're running into exemptions and not getting let into the country, and it just happened to be the number one player in the world in this situation. And I guess that's the issue here. The issue is that he happens to be the world number one. He happens to be newsworthy. There happens to be Australian Open in a week's or so, 2 weeks' time. And as a result, everybody seems to be talking about it. Now, I think that really this man should have simply... So what would have been the upside then if he'd just gone and got himself vaccinated? Would that be such a terrible thing? So clearly he's taken a perspective which is a radical perspective around vaccinations, chosen not to get vaccinated, and as a result of that, this whole storm has blown up. But there again, if he was vaccinated and he didn't have the right paperwork to enter the country according to visa regulations, then he probably would have been kicked out anyway. So the question I'm asking, is this about the vaccination and solely about the vaccination, or is it about, because he may have had an exemption for that based on medical grounds, which I hasten to add are probably questionable, and maybe when they finally found that paperwork they discovered that it was, or is it about him not having the correct paperwork to enter this country given the situation with regard to COVID? May have nothing to do with being vaccinated or not, because non-vaccinated people, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, can still enter Australia, but he is being rejected because he hasn't got the right visa paperwork. So I don't know what that... I guess over the next couple of days that will be clarified. My understanding is that he's going to the court about now. The federal court adjourned it this afternoon. They said that here at 6 o'clock Australian Eastern Time, which according to me was about an hour ago. So maybe they've cleared it all up at this particular point. But I would imagine that the Immigration Department would have enough evidence to produce, to take to the court as well, to demonstrate that he should not have entered the country given the paperwork that he had. So I'd be interested to know, what do you think? Do you think Djokovic should be kicked out of Australia? Do you think he should stay? Do you think tennis is that important? Do you think he's getting special treatment because he is who he is? What about all the other people that have probably been rejected for the same or similar reasons, I guess? Because he is an anti-vaxxer and he isn't vaccinated, should he then get into the country? Should we be making regulations in relation to whether you're anti-vaxxed or vaxxed? And, you know, what should we be doing? I guess that's the final question, folks. So let me know either here on Facebook or on YouTube. I haven't gone to Facebook to see whether anybody's made any comments. So let me know what you think either now or later, and we will respond in a future video later on down the track. Thanks everybody for being with me. Take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.